Hi, Michael Yardney here, and welcome to another Rich Habits, Poor Habits weekly video where we discuss the success habits of the rich. Welcome, Tom Corley.
Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Now, I know in our audience, and we've built a very large international audience watching our videos every week, we have a lot of business people and a lot of entrepreneurs. So today, Tom, I'd like to understand what your studies have found out about the world of entrepreneurs. So what does the word entrepreneur even mean, Tom?
Well, the definition is bearer of risk. So to be an entrepreneur really means, Michael, that you are someone who has to take a risk. You can't be an entrepreneur and not take risk. There's just no way around it. The risk is what makes you an entrepreneur.
Well, I know that that's one of the things that holds back a lot of investors, a lot of people worried about what the stock market's going to do, what the real estate market's going to do, and getting into business. Risk's reasonably relative, but I know when I was young, my father taught me not to take risks. It's one of those poor habits you pick up early in life, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, same thing in our family. You know, we had this attitude that if you went out on a limb, you're going to get burned. So that, in our family it was, well, we want you to go to school, we want you to go to college, and that's the safe way. But it's actually avoiding risk, Michael. And you don't need to go to school, you don't need to go to college. You have to have some education. But to be honest with you, in any democracy or any country where capitalism flourishes, you don't need a college degree. What you do need, however, is the desire to pursue something you're passionate about, and then you have to take risk.
Well, if I understand correctly, taking risk has got two possible outcomes. You can have a good outcome, it can benefit you, or you can have an unsatisfactory, bad outcome, and that could adversely affect you. And people seem to be overweighted by the negative rather than the positive implications, Tom.
Yeah, and that's because that's the way we're hardwired, Michael. Our brains are hardwired for negativity. There's plenty of studies that I put on my blog that I've cited in my blog articles about this. So our brains are always on the lookout for negative things in our environment that are negative, because the negativity is how you can get hurt. That's how
it's a protective mechanism, isn't it, Tom?
Yes, it's that we have a negative radar. So when somebody says, "Hey, Michael, I've got a great opportunity for you," even despite all of your vast experience in creating wealth, that 2 or 3 million year old evolutionary remnant of our old brain kicks in, and it goes up, and there's all of a sudden red flags all over the place. You have to make a habit out of suppressing your intolerance for risk.
Well, Tom, it seems to me that self-made millionaires are somehow or other able to overcome that fear. They break free of it. Are they just more courageous than other people, Tom?
No, actually, they're not. What they are, however, is they have a certain fearlessness about them, and it's a habit. It's not that they're born fearless. And actually, what they are more than anything is they're individuals who take action despite the fear. So they have a couple of, I call them fearless habits that I uncovered in my research that I think are really cool.
Okay, well, let's go through them, Tom. What's the first fearless habit that successful people have?
Well, they really prepare. They do their homework before they actually take any risk. So they have something called educated risk or calculated risk, whatever you want to call it. But long before they take the risk, they've done all their due diligence. They've come to an understanding of what the potential downsides are, every different type of scenario that could go wrong. So they understand it. That's important, Michael, because when something does go wrong, they're already aware of it. They know that they were expecting it.
I think one of the things that stops some people is what we call paralysis by analysis, where they actually try too hard to understand all the options. And I've found that successful people get as much information as they can to make a calculated decision, as you say, Tom, and then they recognize that they don't know everything, they won't know everything yet, but they've got enough information to move forward, knowing along the way they can learn more.
That's right. You know, you're really never going to understand how to turn the doorknob until you are engaged in whatever it is, activity or initiative that involves risk. So you're gonna do all your homework, and then you're gonna find out, oh boy, I can't believe I missed that, or I can't believe I missed these 5 things. They're so obvious to me now. Well, they'll be obvious to you 5 years from now when you take your next risk, and you'll have them in your mental programming. You'll know, you know, it's the school of hard knocks, Michael.
And do you really believe that successful people expect failure, Tom?
Yeah, I think they expect things to go wrong. They know.
So they don't really treat it as failure. That's, I guess, one of the big differences, isn't it? They know
Yeah,
it's going to go wrong, so there it is.
I think they expect mistakes. They expect things to go wrong, and they expect things to fail because that's life. So their whole thing is, I'm expecting this, but it's not going to stop me. I'm just going to figure out a way around it.
So they've already got that plan for the worst case scenario. Tell us one of the other success habits, the rich habits about that entrepreneurs use, Tom.
Well, because they're so prepared, Michael, and because they're looking at the glass not half full or not half empty, but they're looking at both halves. So when something does go wrong, they have this ability, this habit of pivoting. They say, oh boy, you know, the facts have changed now. So I'm not going to be able to achieve my goal as I originally expected. I have to pivot. I have to do a couple more things. I have to gain more knowledge. I need more information. I have to, you know, get in contact with this person. So they learn how to pivot while still staying focused on the end, you know, the end goal.
So therefore, they're not really locked into a specific way of doing things. They've got their plan set, but they're prepared to move around. That's a good one. Tom, what other success habits do these entrepreneurs have?
Well, as I mentioned, you know, because they are focused on, you know, they're able to pivot. The reason they're able to pivot is because they've got their eye on the ball. They've got they're focusing on their, whatever their vision is, their dream. You know, when you enter into something, a new business or an initiative, you have this vision of how you want it to turn out, what your expectation is of what an ideal end would be to this. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, I want to become a multimillionaire. Fine. If that's your vision, fine. But what I found in my research was these things are all like notes in a song, and they all have to come together, all these fearless habits. So one of them is that, you know, they're focusing on their vision. They're constantly looking for information, and in the form of, particularly in the form of feedback. This is why a lot of companies, a lot of businesses will pilot something long before they launch it as a final product or service, because they want to find out, you know, what's wrong with it. They want to get all the bugs out.
I think the focus really means that their reticular activating system, that center in the brain that filters out all the extraneous information and allows you to hone in on things, works more efficiently. If you set your GPS, your reticular activating system, to a goal, it will get you there. But if you don't, Tom, any road can get you there, but any road can get you lost as well. Tom, I think one of the other habits I've recognized of successful entrepreneurs, and we've discussed it before in previous sessions, is who they surround themselves with.
Yeah, so what I found in my research, Michael, was they're always in search of talent, and they're always in search of people that have some type of unique expertise. Of course, they have the boilerplate accountants and the attorneys and maybe some other financial advisors, but even more so, they're trying to look for people, I call them apostles, that they can put on their team who have a certain expertise that they lack. And when they can fill those puzzle pieces, when they can put them together, that's when the picture starts to come together. Their vision starts to come together. And it's these experts that they surround themselves with, these self-made millionaires, these dreamers, that make it possible for them to pull the cart, because you can't pull the cart by yourself.
That's a good way of saying it. I say it a slightly different way, that if you're the smartest person in your team, you're in trouble. So thank you, Tom. That was really helpful. So in your 5-year study of successful people, the rich people, the poor people, you found 5 habits that fearless entrepreneurs share. Number 1 was that you said they prepare before they leap. Number 2 is they expect failure. The 3rd habit is they know how to pivot. The 4th habit is they've got a vision and they focus on it. And the 5th one is they surround themselves with experts. That's great information, Tom. Can I tease you? I'd like you to do some homework between now and next week when we have this session next week. I'd like you to think and maybe get back to me on the concept, is rich or poor a choice? Because there's a lot in the press at the moment about that. So can we discuss that? Is it really my fault or do I have a choice, Tom?
I'd be happy to discuss that. And I have a lot of good information on that.
Okay. Look forward to seeing you next week, Tom.
Sounds good, Michael. Thanks.